All right, here we go. We are halfway through the round of 32, which is already hard to believe. 3 more games coming at you today. England against the Democratic Republic of Congo, Belgium against Senegal, and co-host United States taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina. A lot to get to here, so let's get after it. All right, welcome into another edition of World Cup Preview. World Cup today here on the Nick Burt Sports Network. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. 3 very important round of 32 games to get to today. Lot going to be decided today. All 3 games I think are great in their own right. We'll get into each of them. So let's just get straight into it. Our 12 p.m. kickoff live from Atlanta, Georgia. It is England taking on the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, I can say, England have not had the best of tournaments. The Croatia game, the first game, was quite good, I will say. There were worries, the conceding 2 in the first half, not great, I will say that. But it looked positive. You had your Harry Kane goals. I believe you had Jude Bellingham scoring. You had Marcus Rashford scoring. It's like, okay, things are going well. Let's be positive here. Hope. Hope is the key word there. And then this followed up with a very bad 0-0 draw against Ghana, which, voodoo witch doctor or not, is not a result England should be pulling off. Now, given that, it seems like very recently, in recent tournaments, England always do have a stinker of a 0-0 draw, and hopefully this is just out of the bag now, and we don't have to worry about it down the line. But still, it does worry me a bit. And then you follow that up with the 2-0 victory over Panama, which, again, they didn't look phenomenal. They kind of were saved in the second half by Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane. And that brings them to this match where they will be facing off against kind of a Cinderella story here at the World Cup, the Democratic Republic of Congo. They get their first World Cup point in their first World Cup game since 1974 with the 1-1 draw against Portugal. They then lose 1-0 to Colombia, a game that I felt like they were never truly in, but there were still opportunities for them to at least get a point from that one. And then they top that off with their final game in Group K, which was a 3-1 victory over Uzbekistan. I think the Uzbekistan game was the best game they've played so far. Obviously, given it's Uzbekistan, that's not saying much. But, you look at Yoane Wissa, has 2 goals in the game. He won a penalty. He scored a penalty. Malé had a good game too. I believe he had the most touches in the opponent's box in that game. Like this DR Congo team is not a team to be kind of messed around with or slept on. The worry of injuries with England is really starting to get to me because it seems like nobody's healthy, truly. Kwanzaa is doubtful. Reece James, we know, is out. Declan Rice dealing with an injury. Elliot Anderson apparently dealing with an injury. Bukayo Saka just may not be good. It's tough. This is very, very tough because at this point it feels like England are leaning on Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham and Jordan Pickford having great games in net, carrying them in this tournament. And I don't know how long they're going to be able to do that. I know those, especially Bellingham and Kane, are 2 world-class players. But is the key word here. They cannot do them themselves. they're going to need help from your Marcus Rashfords of the world. They're going to need help from however healthy or unhealthy Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice are. They're going to need help from that back line of whoever it is back there. If it's Stones, if it's O'Reilly, if it's Gahey, if it's Konsa, if it's Jed Spence, they are going to need that help. They are going to need that support. It's worrying. Worrying is the key word here. And I don't think this DR Congo team is one to be slept on. We have seen European sides struggle so far this World Cup. We've already seen Germany and we've seen the Netherlands go out. If DR Congo can continue to push this game while it's still a draw, or if it's 1-1, which is obviously still a draw, if they can get it to extra time, I know it's usually the reverse way. Once you get to, overtime or extra time, the favorite becomes a bigger favorite at that point, and the underdog really doesn't have a chance. I kind of feel like it's the opposite at this World Cup, where once you get into extra time, like the more and more that underdog holds, it's going to end up paying off in the end. This is... Who knows? I remember England back in 22. They had the game against Senegal. Senegal was quite good at that point. And then England won 3-0. Now, I know it's a different manager. It's a different squad. It's all that. But it wouldn't be England if there wasn't a part of me worried about them not getting a result tomorrow and the World Cup being over for England. Of course, there's that worry. Overall, though, I do think they get through. I think they get to the round of 16. They will be playing at the Azteca next week, which will be something to behold. How that goes down will be quite interesting to see, but give me England to win that one. We'll move on to our second game of the day. We're traveling up to Seattle to see Belgium take on Senegal. This very much feels like another opportunity for a UEFA team to fall at this tournament. This Belgium team I don't think has been good really all this tournament. I know they got the 5-1 win against New Zealand, but it's New Zealand. They drew 0-0 against Iran, and they had a 1-1 draw against Egypt. I think it's just safe to say this Belgium team is washed. I know they are unbeaten in 16 matches, but is there really that much more? And who knows? I could be reading way, way, way too much into the Senegal 5-0 rout over 10-man Iraq that I attended on Friday, because the Senegal team didn't look phenomenal against Norway. They didn't look phenomenal against France. This is it felt like when they were fully on in that Iraq game, I should say, they looked really good. But then you got to factor it's Iraq. Belgium is a completely different animal. I know this Belgium team is older. They have more talent than Iraq, though. They aren't a Norway. They aren't a France, but they are still very good. This is just such an interesting matchup because obviously the team we saw against Iraq is, I think, the team everybody kind of expected Senegal to be at this tournament. And I don't think it helped that they were drawn in the group of death because I didn't think they were going to get a result out of France. They potentially could have drawn against Norway was my thought, but I figured they were going to lose that one too. And it was the same for Iraq. Both teams were going to go into that final game on 0 points and fighting for that third place spot. This Belgium team, though, I just can't buy into them. I'm going to buy into them and just pick them to win here, given they are unbeaten in their last 16 matches. But everything is telling me, do not take Belgium. Do not take Belgium. And who knows? Maybe I'm right, and I shouldn't be taking Belgium. I'm obviously still going to take them, though. At the end of the day, I think they have the better playmakers, whether that be, De Bruyne, Doku, Trossard, Courtois. They have the better playmakers, and I think it's as simple as that. I think this is the game of the day, which could be an upset. Truly, I could see it going either way. I'm still going to take Belgium, though. There is a chance, though, that you never know, that Senegal advance. Move on to our final game of the day from the San Francisco Bay Area Stadium. It is the United States, of course, co-host of this tournament, taking on Bosnia and Herzegovina, who will be playing in their first ever World Cup knockout game. The U.S. comes into this game off a 3-2 loss against Turkey. Read into that what you will. For Bosnia, they are coming in off a 3-1 win against Qatar. Two very different group stages from both of these sides. The U.S., obviously, that last loss against Turkey, they dominated Australia 2-0. They dominated Paraguay 4-1. Now, that's the same Paraguay team that has beaten Germany. Now, Paraguay has gotten better since that first game, but you can still use those talking points. For Bosnia, you had the 1-1 draw against Canada to start the tournament, and then a 4-1 shellacking against Switzerland before that 3-1 win against Qatar. I know the U.S. thinks they're basically through the round of 16 already, but if there's a team I don't want to be playing in a knockout stage game, it's Bosnia. I've mentioned it multiple times. If you take a look at their path to the playoff, the Wales game, 1-1 draw, and Dzeko scores in the 86th minute to send it to extra time, which then goes to penalty shootouts. Bosnia win that 4-2. They move on to the final where they take on Italy. 1-1 game. Italy score first. Tabarovic scores in the 79th minute, sends the game to extra time, which then sends the game to a penalty shootout. Bosnia wins 4-1. You are now in a situation where Bosnia can park this bus for 120 minutes and send it to a penalty shootout. And truly, if they do, I don't know if there's any team that I don't want to face more in a penalty shootout than Bosnia. They have all the practice in the world, all the pressure in the world that they have already faced just to get here in penalty shootouts. It would feel fitting if this was obviously their first knockout game. The first time they advance on through the knockout stage was through a penalty shootout. It feels fitting. Now, the problem with that is the U.S. does just seem to have a very, very good team right now. Pulisic's health is obviously a question. You have to start him tomorrow, I think, truly. You do. Flo Balogun has had an incredible tournament so far already. Talks of getting moves to bigger clubs this summer post-World Cup. I know your goal scorers in the game against Turkey was Austin Trusty and Sebastian Berhalter, who are two players I think had phenomenal games. I don't think you're going to see them in the starting lineup against Bosnia in a knockout game. That was more a rotated squad. But those are two players that can come off your bench and do something. You look at Sebastian Berhalter. He had the assist on the Trusty goal off a corner kick, and then he has his own goal. He is one of the best, free kick takers in the game right now, truly. Whether it be corner kick, free kick from 40 yards out, free kick from basically top the box. He is great at setting up set pieces. Just a wonderful, wonderful player. I've always said, though, the thing that worries me still about this U.S. team is the back line of Freeman, Richards, and Ream. They have all had good games so far, but it's kind of you're always waiting for that next shoe to drop and things to go south. I truly hope this isn't the game. This is not a team the U.S. should be going out to in a World Cup, especially with the way they have played in this World Cup. But it also just kind of has the feeling of everybody I talk to kind of already seems to be looking ahead to a round of 16 match against potentially Belgium. And I don't think Bosnia is one team to be slept on. I know one game at a time, one game focus. The U.S. has to play their best game of the World Cup that they have played so far to win tomorrow. And it's going to be that way from here on out, truly. They're going to have to play their best game after their best game after their best game after their best game because it does not get easier from here. Bosnia will be your easiest team here on out. Up next after that is, again, probably Belgium, maybe Senegal. Both terribly difficult games. After that, you get potentially rewarded with Spain. It does not get easier from here for the U.S., but this feels like an opportunity they have to take. They have to get a win here. The fact they have only had one knockout stage victory in the entire Federation history, and that was in 2002 against Mexico in the round of 16, you have to get a win here. If you do not make the round of 16, this is a catastrophic failure for U.S. soccer, especially if it's losing to Bosnia. I'm taking the U.S. to win here, though. I think they get it done. Now, like I said, if this game is 1-1 and we head to extra time, I'm sealing my fate knowing that Bosnia is going through just because that is how it would be foretold. Give me the United States, though. I think they win. They move on to the round of 16 to face most likely Belgium. So that is today's matchups. So many great matchups here. All three games are just going to be absolutely incredible watches. So given that, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of World Cup Preview, World Cup Today here on the Nick Bird Sports Network. So thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this channel and we're already past the halfway point of the World Cup, one, where have you been? But two, make sure you subscribe to make sure you're here for the rest of the World Cup. So make sure you click like on this video, turn on notifications so you always know when these videos are posted. We will be back very soon for another episode. We'll be obviously previewing tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again soon for another episode here on the Nick Burt Sports Network.